And I would like to thank all the speakers. We will be starting the panel discussion, so I would like to invite all the speakers, eminent speaker, to come on dais and take their seats, respective seats. Uday? Okay, Kalpak will join us shortly. I would like to have our panel be presented with a small memento, just to thank them from our side for participating in this event. Uday Vasudeva. Thank you, Uday, for participating. C.V. Joshi sir. Thank you, sir, for participating. Abhay Baranto. Thank you, Abhay. Mahesh. Thank you, Mahesh. And finally, Kalpak. Thank you, Kalpak. It was very nice listening to you in the morning.
So, one second. So, very good afternoon to you all. My name is John C. George. And today I'm going to have a very brief panel discussion. And before I start that, one of the things that I would like to let you know that though we are sitting on this side of the table, today you all are the chief guests. Right? This event is for you. And we would like to rather listen more from your side. This side did spend quite some time to let you know what they think about embedded systems and so on. But now I would like to know, and rather we all would like to know more from your side about what is it that you think about embedded and what is your perception about the same. But before we start with that, even I myself have a couple of questions from this panel, and these are not the questions from my side. These are the questions which I got while discussing with many of you people. I did have a discussion with few of you outside. Plus, we did get a couple of inquiries in the past that these are the questions that I would personally like to ask. So all those questions I'm going to put in front of the panel, and I'm going to ask them one by one. Plus, you all will again get an opportunity to interact with them. We roughly have an hour from now, so we'll try to make the most of this time. So I'll be talking to them as well as you all can talk. You can, in between, if you want, you can interrupt. All you have to do is just raise your hand. I'll be, giving you an opportunity to ask the right question. And I'm assuming that we have a mic so that we can, give it to this audience, right? So my first question would be to the keynote speaker today, Professor C.V. Joshi. And I could see that out of this entire event, he's the one who was kind of get out the most, and he's the one who had to face you, because at the end of the day, after the event, it's going to be him whom you're going to interact with over a period of time, right? So I can understand that curiosity and enthusiasm that you all did have. So my very first question, sir, we all were actively involved in defining the syllabus for Pune University in the past. And I can see that you are one of the most active members in defining the embedded syllabus. I was also present in one such meeting, and frankly speaking, I did see a lot of challenges that he had to personally go through. So my question to you would be, what are the challenges that you see? Because you know precisely where the industry is heading, and you know where the academic sector is standing. But unfortunately, you are trying your best, but there are certain challenges that you are meeting to ensure that let us bring this particular audience to the speed at which the industry is moving. So could you please just walk us through the challenges that you are precisely going through?
Now, considering the situation in industry and our syllabus content, we have to adjust to the pace of industry. So challenges are that the technology is moving at very fast, at very high rate, and how to impart the knowledge to the student at that rate. So challenge was that how to include this in our syllabus. For example, we have got just 8-bit microcontroller, and we had to reach to the 32-bit controller, or we have got VCOS is a simple operating system, and we have to start with Linux. So how to include means what happens if I don't include, then you miss this. If I include this, the syllabus become heavy, and there are always a lot of pressure from student as well as pressure from this industry, and then it's like a rope walk. So then one more challenge is here is how to train a faculty, because I have got a stiff resistance from faculty even, because they are normally they like to be with typical continuous work. They don't want to learn much something new technologies, because they have got their knowledge, so they don't want to change much. This is also a serious issue, but this is what I have observed. So the faculty itself don't want to change. Popular and what we can do with Android, that much is also sufficient. Because when you go out and do the industry, like we have got now Burankar, he has said that Android-based application can be developed. At least you should be aware. Otherwise, what happens when you are a non-technical friend? He said that I have got Android phone and I am doing this thing, that thing. You said, oh, what is that Android? So at least you have got yes, I know the Android, and this is something, the basic platform, and we also know that it is based on the Linux basic kernel. So kernel Linux is the basics. On that Android is a framework. Okay, so you can write application using Java something. So these are the challenges, and one more, the last challenge is we have got this subject at final year. Now the scope of subject is so high that how to include all this in one semester, one subject. That was the challenge, and so somehow we have managed the syllabus so that we have made it simpler. So I assure that you are worried about your theory paper, it will not be that difficult, and I hope you will score 60 plus in the subject also. Thank you.
My next question to Uday. Okay. So I read this somewhere that in future it was written that by 2050 it is anticipated that 40% of the cost of production of any automobile, not quite sure whether it was two-wheeler or four-wheeler, but I remember that the statement is still there. If you want, you can go and find it on the net. 40% of the cost of production of a vehicle is going to be that of electronics, right? So vehicle, when we say, as Mr. Mahesh did, clearly pointed out, it's basically a multidisciplinary activity, right? You can't be just saying that I'm a mechanical engineer and I can make an automobile today, right? So you have to be an electronics engineer. I mean, this is typically built by an electronics engineer and a mechanical engineer and a chemical engineer and so on. But I can see that 40% of it being electronics, so that means there is a lot of embedded activity that is going on in the field of automotive. So what is your take on this? What is your experience? Because you are deep inside this automobile industry. You have been developing various automotive embedded solutions for many companies. What is your take on this? Do you think that this is going to happen somewhere in future?
Of course, this is being generation talks. Basically, it may be embedded or it may be mechanical product. At the end of the day, any product requires a market. And market scenario is, you all know, it is whose market? It is, we always say, it is our market. When we see India as a market, if you compare ourselves with the European countries or American countries or even Asia, I would say even our cars are 20 years behind than the other European countries. So I don't, like you say 2015, 2050, 2025, I would see only the graph is going up. And what kind of technology drivers basically are going to be contributing more and more products, and there's a need of more and more embedded electronics. It's basically, of course, I don't know why institutions are not talking about different technology drivers, or why that syllabus is not there. I don't have any answer. But definitely this kind of viewpoints, like today, if I know my last generation of products, and if some approach where the product generations can be taught in advance, or a person who is interested to make a career in a particular field would like to visualize what is going to be a next generation of my lighting system? What is going to be my next generation of my different human HMI systems, switching systems? What is going to be my next generation of different audio systems, or different security systems, or different safety systems? So it is something available to us, and it's obvious to come, because unless there is a add-on features, even it is difficult for OEM industry also to sell their bike. Like I'll take an example when we are talking about the generation change. People talk that filament type bulb is invented by the person, and then it is continuing everywhere. Like I remember in 1995 I bought first computer with a very low operating system, and then that time Pentium was launched, and 95 Pentium, we were happy with Pentium also. Now how many of you would like to work on Pentium? So this is a generation change. You got such a high speed, even 4 GB RAM is used to be hard disk, not even hard disk that time, where you get 4 GB RAM itself now to start with. So this is a generation change, and as long as the generation change is going to be there, that much potential of new launches or new products and new opportunities in electronics as well as embedded electronics is going to be there. So of course I would feel that yes, what your perception is there, 100% it is going to be there. So you got ample of future and ample of opportunities. It's like, how do you see? Because there are always two sides of the coin. Technology, we use lot of electronics in our day-to-day work. You name, even in this hall, starting from the projector and light systems and even the glow sign boards, everywhere, even in shops, the AC control systems, everywhere we use a lot of electronics. But how many of that is made in India? And that is the big challenge. Basically, if it is in your hand, industry is and the market is going to demand that product, but it is you only have to decide whether it will be generated from my country or when it is going to be generated from your country or manufactured in our country, then only it is opportunity to you. Otherwise, it is an opportunity for others. Please try and understand this point. So, am I able to make I have made the contradictory sentence, but if it is indigenized, yes, it is opportunity. Market anyway needing this, because you would like to have the features of BMW. We were happy with Lunas and the old bikes, but it is need of the day. It's you. So you are defining your own generations, and that will go on, provided you have to see whether it is indigenized or whether it can be imported. So that's make a difference. Otherwise, in 2015, 2025, of course, the opportunities are huge for embedded people. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, in this regard, I would like to say a few words. My perspective here that why the price of electronic component or electric will go up, basically because what technology is thinking is they want to remove this, first of all, fuel engine, which is a petrol or diesel. So if we can replace this petrol diesel engine, then that part will be replaced by electric motor. And once you have an electric motor, drives will be electronics. So the rest of the body remains there. Wheel, tires, brakes, that cannot be replaced. But if we replace this fuel engine by electric motors, and somehow we make that energy through fuel cell or through solar power, such vehicles are tested in developed countries. So if that happens, probably the contribution of electric cost will be more like 40% of it.
Okay, so my next question to Kalpak. Kalpak, you have been actively involved with the industry. A sizable chunk of your career has been, working with various companies. And I can see that, a part of your career is also involved in training. So I can clearly see, and with all the interactions that I've had with you in the past, you know both sides of the story, right? So you know the business realities and you know the student expectations. So what is that one thing that you would like to tell to this particular audience? I mean, I can say there's a tremendous gap. Let's not accept the fact that there's a big gap between, what the business, the companies expect from you versus what you expect from the company, right? So Kalpak, my question to you would be, what is the gap that you have identified thus far, and what is the message that you would like to give it to this audience so that they can take this forward and tell it to their friends, families, colleagues, that this is what the industry is expecting from you?
I'm not sure I can advise that well on what is the gap. Gap is something where you're not in the industry when you join it, your baby's there, so there will be some kind of gap. But so what? You're young, you can learn. The gap really seems huge because you're scared to learn. Because for 16 years you're told this is the model question, this is the model answer. Anything else and you're wrong. Are you looking for a backlog? That's the attitude. So, I'm sorry sir. So, this gap is more of a perception that where you don't know a lot of things. In a way it's good because then you tend to work harder, you tend to learn better. Today if somebody asks me, hey, this is new technology, want to learn it? I give it a very long thought and then probably say no. It's of age. So this gap will, I think, always remain. I can remember my own project. Where was it stuck? I couldn't get optocouplers. It was a microprocessor base, and the optocouplers that were available in the market, I could not get the data sheet. This is pre-internet days. And the data sheets that I had, they had never heard of those numbers. So I suppose this gap between industry and academics will kind of exist, and it's more of perception. Dive in, and of course you're worried about marks, I understand that. So when I keep saying, oh, so what if you fail? Right? If you fail, you lose marks, probably lose a year. And it will definitely annoy your family. But I would say that is a lot less painful than getting a kick in the butt when you're working. See, if you fail during your degree course, at worst what will happen? You lose a year. Your parents get upset, they'll say, no more motorcycle for you. You seem to be gallivanting all over the town and not studying, etc., etc., etc. In a company, if you do badly, 5 o'clock in the evening, the HR calls you one day and sends you home. It's not happened to me, but I know people who it's happened to. That is definitely far more devastating. And in a professional field, once you get that mark on you, it's over. Then a lot of companies think twice before employing you. So, given a choice, it's up to you where you want to cover the gap. You want to cover before you join or after you join. So, this gap is a perception, and I'm sure most of you, to get over your fear factor, you can easily cover it. I've had a lot of interesting youngsters working for me, and at times they used to worry me, but quite a few times I used to feel thrilled. Okay, they are working, I don't need to worry. So I definitely would not have a negative attitude about this generation, and I would say all generations think like that about the younger ones. Aajkal ke bache. My seniors thought about me the same way. So please don't worry so much.
Okay, so my next question to Abhay, I did read somewhere in your presentation that there are going to be 774 million connected health devices by 2020, if I'm not wrong. And I did see some of the devices that you brought here for all of us to see, I mean, whatever developments your company has done. My question is, when do we get to see those devices with all of us? I mean, when I go to a doctor, the doctor is still, using all the traditional methods, the stethoscopes and, so on. And when I come to such forums, I get to see people talking about telemedicine, healthcare over the internet, and I can interact with video. Practically, I haven't seen any of those other than such things being read in the magazines and televisions. You being in this industry, could you please tell us when can we expect to see such things getting connected to our day-to-day life? I mean, when I say that I'm talking about people here in India.
So let me just give you a background about what are the solutions that are being worked out for the Indian market. And some of them are really advanced than the ones which are being developed in the US market. One recently we developed is a HbA1c device, as I was mentioning. So traditionally what happens is that the doctors ask you to take the HbA1c test. So typically they use the huge HbA1c device, and you almost need a day to wait to get the results. So what we did for Indian healthcare company Piramal is a portable small footprint HbA1c meter which would not only take only 10 minutes to give you results, but also from almost 400 rupees that you pay, the cost has come down to 40 rupees. So of course it has to go through certain validation and the trials. It will take probably 6 to 8 months. Another trend that I am seeing is that in the remote or telehealth area, I believe that there are already some kiosks and the programs run by government at a remote place where they have this healthcare kiosks that are being already deployed into the rural area, especially not in Maharashtra but in the south portion of India. There are already such solutions being tried out. I am also seeing a lot of requests for proposals coming from the government in terms of developing the remote monitoring projects or telehealthcare projects. So I see that it will be probably a couple of years where you will see that as a trend, definitely. And as you can see that many of our consumers already have got mobile phones. So I don't think it will be difficult for us to have those solutions here or get those solutions here. I think it is probably maybe a couple of years away where you will see that trend coming to India as well. And if you see the largest consumers are in India. For example, if I was talking about the diabetic patients. So today, I think maybe in a year we will surpass all the world's population of the diabetic patients, and the need is going to be definitely there in India, and I'm sure that we will start seeing those devices. The only challenge that I see is the cost. I'm finding it quite difficult because a lot of those devices or the solutions that we are building are still out of the reach of the normal user. They are costing much, and I think that's the challenge and opportunity for us to invent something new. I'm not sure whether you have heard about a recent invention by Bharat Electronics. They have created a pad similar to iPad, and that just costs 3,000 rupees as compared to almost 20,000 rupees, or more than that by Apple. Even Reliance launched, but the cost is like 13,000. So I think we have that capability, and we have the talent to make things cheaper and available, and I'm sure that sooner we will have those solutions available for the Indian consumer as well.
So on similar lines, Mahesh, I have very similar query for you, though for your domain. I can see a lot of automotive development happening right now, and KPIT Cummins is one of those companies which is very deep into embedded, especially the auto part. So, and on top of that, I read that a lot of infotainment activities are now getting inside the vehicle, right? So a vehicle is not going to be the vehicle wherein you fill petrol in it or diesel in it and just go from point A to point B. It's going to be much more than that. The vehicle of the future is going to be completely different from the vehicle that we see at present. And I can see a lot of companies worldwide are working, including your company. So what are the various such smart things that are going to get connected to a vehicle in future? And what are those, when are we going to see those things here in India? I would like to see it in my car, one of those things that you people are developing. When is it going to happen?
Okay.
So, just before answering your question, I just would like to answer the previous question about 40% of the software. Okay, and here you got the exact question: where is that 40% of software electronics going to come? So these are the areas: infotainment. Exactly, it is sounds like it's kind of entertainment in your luxury car system. Okay. So it is all about the Bluetooth connections, it is all about your USB connections, it is all about the entertainment and everything. And you can also connect from the external world itself. The other interesting area is I just talked in the morning about the telematics things. When you connect to the satellites and get the emergency responses like the medical devices which require the remote connections. So during the accidents, maybe also there will be hybrid thing where the medical system will interact with the car automotive systems and they respond to the patients very immediately when they are actually required. So those all things are going to come, but I don't know those about hybrid, but these whatever I'm talking about in infotainment or the telematics things, definitely over the 5 years horizon I am going to see. Infotainment is much like near future because they are already there in the car system. The telematics is the now evolving area where it connects to the satellite, provides the emergency information, gets the emergency information. But I really don't know, but I think from my perspective it should be the 5 years down the line you will see total new cars. The reason being I'll tell you. So first in the 90s we saw just Maruti having one model and I don't know whether it has an ECU or a electronic control unit. So all it came when the government regulations come at the BS2 or BS3 probably, then all cars started having those electronic system into picture. But then this took like a decade, right? Now let's say from the 2000 and this 2010 or how many norms now it's a BS4. So quickly, whether it's like a half the period of time the changes are coming. Now 10 years it got reduced to 5, now it's reduced to 2. Okay, so there is a dynamic change here itself. Every 6 months you are getting a new product variant or new features in your car. Probably they are already existing in the market. Okay, it's probably business decision that is influencing the market when to bring that into the market. So whatever we are thinking, the new technologies, maybe they are already existing. Since they rightly said, we are still 10 years back of the industry when we compare the outside country cars and etc. So probably this is the may not be a new development altogether. It is for the Indianized test, like for the Indian car market. So it's about the new development. Then there is also a question of the cost also. So everything like even if we see the variants, the Indian customer will say, hey, why I want this power window? It's a roll up, roll down or roll up. It's enough for me. Okay, reduce by 10,000 please. That's the negotiation I'm doing to make. So those actually business drivers influence this decision when to bring this in the market. So that is the time horizon. So it's our young generation maturity. Probably these people will say, well, in 2 years time I want to have that started.
You mean that should I buy a car 5 years down the line? I was planning to buy it in the next 2 to 3 years.
I at least postpone my decision.
Okay.
Because competition, I don't see any new features to me.
Okay. So please pass on the message to everyone around you. Wait for the next 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years work hard, collect some money and then buy it.
Absolutely. So to you all, actually this is your event one more time. So please feel free to ask any questions, and I would really encourage this time before I move on to my next set of questions. Please raise your hands. These are the people who would otherwise never ever be available to you. If at all you go to Minda Industries and try to ask for Uday Basul at the next appointment, he will give you 3 months down the line. So please introduce yourself and just say your name and college and then just ask the question.
So myself Krishna, I want to ask you a question that how to make a patent, means what is the process?
I guess
if we have a good idea, then how to introduce
See, anything novel in nature, and it has to have commercial feasibility and realistic. So with commercial feasibility and benefit to society, you can go and apply for a patent. Patent office, since we are into Mumbai region, so Mumbai patent office at Warsaw, you can apply direct patent. There can be very simple abstract. You can download some patent from Big India site or some other sites, and after that you can write your abstract, novel point, some diagrams, and that can be patented with. For students, I think 1,500 rupees only. It is as simple as that. For industry, some 5,000 rupees you can apply. You can also apply if your idea is only idea stage and not yet to come with the design calculations and all. So you can still apply for a patent for your own idea. Only thing that idea has to be feasible later on when you apply for claims. So provisional patents also can be applied. And that validity is about 6 months, and then after that you have to go for final patent. So it's like जब तक आप भारतीय हो, एक इंडियन आदमी कहीं पे भी पेटेंट लगा सकता है इंडिया में. There are 4-5 patent office anywhere you can apply. It's very simple thing.
What are all your responsibilities for the embedded domain for your project? Please brief us. And my next question is it necessary to have MTech or MS degree to join a co-company?
Yeah, typically I will answer your second question first. So typically we look for the BE or MSc or MTech kind of thing. Typically MCA or maybe BE with computer. As an architect, what happens is that it's a major channel to transfer between your concept to the design. So typically what happens is that I generally get in what we call as a phase 0 of any project. So interacting with the requirement analyst or maybe end user to first understand what is their concept and what is the product that they are trying to build, and accordingly prepare a solution which can be implemented within the given time frame. So that is the first responsibility. Second is that then reviewing of the solutions that we are building, and as you can see that there are a number of stakeholders. As you develop a product, there are a number of stakeholders. So for example, the industrial design person or maybe a manufacturing guy. So the solution architect has to make sure that the solution is built, that every piece fits together to deliver a solution which is the customer is asking for. So all the coordination required, validation required, analyzing all the failure modes where the things can go wrong and correspondingly addressing them. So that's the primary responsibility of an architect at my level.
So why don't we have internship at BE level? Because in that case we will be directly able to interact with the industrial experts and we'll be able to learn more.
So that internship, there are two issues. One is the decision has to be taken by the universities, the dean faculty board of studies. That is the first. Actually we had such thought that why can't have internship like medical professionals. But the main problem lies the number of students, the colleges and the actual industries. We find that it's a very difficult to have place for internship. In case of medical, we know that there are only few medical colleges and they are supposed to have their own hospitals. Without that, the college doesn't get permission. So ours, either we'll have to have setup has to be provided by the college itself, that is number one, or you get access to the industry. Now this is not in our hand. In medical college, they have to have hospital. Therefore internship is compulsory and it is feasible. In our case, there are two issues. Either college has to, and normally the colleges will not think to have their own setups. They don't want to invest much more probably. But if the authorities force that it is a must, they should have some minimum workshop facilities all so that you can do the projects work and all that. That is, these are the two issues. That's why we don't have internship.
So, but anyways, after we go to any industry, we take training over there. So why do industry people don't actually work out with colleges and give the training?
Correct. So that is the issue, that industry and institute of universities have to decide that can we make it possible at the college level. That is what their suggestions coming from industry also, why can't to make. But then but then it is the understanding and then agreement and then the decisions. These are the bit lengthy procedures that normally doesn't happen so quick or easily. That lot many authorities, let's see, this AICT is also there. It's a top apex body who decides our curriculum and working. So we have to involve AICT, then AICT will point to the UGC, they will point to the HRD, and then decision also become political. Because you will find that all private colleges are from political leaders, you must be knowing that. So whether they would like to add, so these are very complex issues. Cannot be solved at the university level or like my level. But we give the suggestions and they principally accept. Even university already say principle it is correct. But practically things are very tough. And that's why it is not happening.
So because if we are having internship, then the teachers don't have to take the pain of studying the new subjects and they will also get trained with students with the through industry.
Yeah, there are all the benefits, we agree to you. Full benefits are there in all possible. But implementation, these are the issues.
Next question from Chetna for Mr. Uday.
So basically nowadays in two-wheeler vehicles to communicate between the front panel and rear panel lots of wires are there. I mean wiring complexity increases nowadays in gear vehicles. So basically is there any method to reduce the wiring complexity? And right now in BE project even I am working like it is my project is about LIN-based body control module system in two-wheelers. I mean like we have an intention made to reduce the wiring complexity. So using LIN protocol. So is there any other method to reduce wiring complexity?
Very nice, intelligent question. First of all, every world is basically trying about downsizing of the vehicles. Basically, our Euro 4 and other norms are also driving that thing. We have to get the more mileage, and one way is reducing the weight in the vehicle. Wiring harness was the first target people decided because the big going. Of course, LIN is one protocol where with 3-wire communication you can do the tail light controls and few brake light functions, also indicator functions. But again, this is first of all as academic interest is possible. Second, आपने कहीं एक कहावत सुनी कि एक मतलब जवानी की मुर्गी और अठाने का मसाला ऐसा कुछ बोलते हैं ना? Very good. अब कॉलेज दिन से थोड़ा बाहर आ गया ना. So affordability, I normally mention affordability, like any technology, at what cost? So that is there. What is that technology driver helping you in implementing any new technology? If it is going to give me benefit, then it is possible. So answer to your question, LIN can, all these, there are other multiplexing techniques by which there are certain other protocols also yet developed by people. But it is not feasible, it is not becoming feasible. Of course it becomes feasible in case of trucks where the distances are more. So your technology will have acceptability somewhere else. If you are thinking to another product, it may be costing you much because silicon cost is higher than the number of wires you are going to eliminate from, you are going to save from this introduction of LIN.
So one more thing, like can we use LIN for controlling the lighting systems?
Of course, it's a 3-wire protocol. You are providing to 12 volt directly. It's a 12 volt system protocol. There's a nice protocol in fact. And you can use data wire out of one, and you can easily drive blinkers, tail lamps and brake lights, anything is possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question for all the speakers, Mr. Pranav.
Good afternoon to all of you. So my question is now the TPMS system, that is tire pressure monitoring system, has first implemented in the Porsche car in 1986 and not still yet implemented in the Indian market. Same with the alcoholic detection using GPS and GSM technology. So what are the basic prospects via Indian market lagging with the international market?
Fundamental thing, am I answer? Shall I answer? Fundamental thing on TPMS thing, we are talking about tire pressure sensor for the benefit of say people start Hello?
For avoiding the accidents, we are using TPMS system.
Okay.
So why not this system is yet implemented in India? So
You mean-
what are the prospect lagging? The Indian market. What are the different prospects that Indian market lagging if we compare our market with the international market?
Okay, I'll share you few my case study on the TPMS thing. Basically, TPMS as a safety device. Basically, when your tire pressure is 20% low than the desired tire pressure level, it affects the braking distance. It also help you in improving the fuel economy if my tire pressure is very good. Other technology driver is it reduce the wear and tear of tire. Fundamentally, when I start, like I mentioned now, while doing any project, we do lot of background working. First question we ask ourselves that wear and tear of tire. If some device is going to help me in increasing the tire life, how does it is going to give me direct benefit? So we calculated the wear. Some mechanical engineer, if available, they can understand wear. It's a Weber's law. Wear equal to mu, that is your road friction, multiplied by load applied, how many people are sitting inside the car, multiplied by velocity, multiplied by time. This is the formula for wear calculation. Now, if I, as a OEM of my maybe Maruti Suzuki, wanting to implement tire pressure system inside the car, and I put a sensor where I don't know in my car one person is going to sit or 4 or 5 people are going to sit. So in that formula where my number of person, that is the load applied, is going to change every time. So and on top of it, if 1 person sit or 5 person sit, you know the pressure value inside the tire never change. So if I put a sensor inside that, which will so far I assume that my pressure is going to change. So there are dilemma where we ourselves are not convinced with the marketing talks or the different technology. But answer to your question, there are certain regulatory body who understand that this weight of the tires on my road conditions. Basically, there are other aspects. Government construct roads, and for fleet management, like truckers, overload the vehicle and they damage the road. So there, some government have thought of that I should be making some regulatory standards. Like first, you was talking about first Porsche car, but I think after that NHTSA, National Highway Traffic, has made it mandatory to have TPMS on almost all trucks, and after that it has implemented. Now, why our government is not thinking on that front? Of course, some politicians have to give that answer. But once, if answer to your question is, the technologies are there, it can be directly acceptable to market, depend on the benefit to the end user. Second, benefit to the selling of the OEM. Basically, if he can able to sell more number of cars by making awareness or launching that feature in car. That's second thing. And third is the government regulation. So far, for TPMS, we don't have any government regulation.
So we are having that technology now, sir. So the question is to implement that or not.
See,
so we are having that technology or not.
We know wireless, like we have FM radio is a wireless transmission data. Then you have Bluetooth. Then we know we aware about this thing. We know we have different applications also. But again, who will decide to launch TPMS in trucks, bus or car will decided by the end benefit.
Okay, next question for all the speakers from Mr. Akash Sancheti.
Good afternoon, sir. So I would like to ask to Mr. Mahesh. Sir, you have said that this different simulation modules are used today for simulating the practical aspects and the practical feasibility of the circuit. So in that case, means all the noise consideration are also included or not? Means suppose considering designing a circuit for car or automobile. So different, the I engine emits a lot of noise, RFI and EMI noise. So are that also considered in this circuit or not? Means in this simulation?
Okay, that depends upon what kind of models you are using, and see again, it depends upon the application what you are going to develop. Now the noise that which is going, it is going to affect the design pretty much. Then of course the developer has to consider that aspect also, and there are models available. So purposely, for example, suspension development or any other chassis development, definitely noises or vibration, NVH. In the automotive they call noise vibration mechanics. So that is the one area where actually you need to analyze those vibrations basically. So if you see, they are not the great tools. Like somebody was asking, tell me where the DFT used or frequency analysis tool is used. So these are the areas where such techniques come into picture and you need to apply them, and they are really going to be your models. So what do you think, what is the difference? So they are just the mathematical representation. Even for the medical devices, when you said the nice example of falling down, okay, so when you are jumping and when you are falling down, there is a difference. So there must be some energy associated with that jumping attitude and the falling attitude. How will you get, how will you know that? So that is the data what you gather and you analyze and interpret your data. So that is how it is done. So basically wherever that is required in the simulation model, you actually get it. So that's the question of whether you know it. Yeah, that answers.
Were you specifically referring to the noise generated by, say, a spark plug in a car? That is the RFI EMI generated, and how do you model it?
Means exactly means while working, means suppose the system is developed at our project, RDE project. You can't take that project at a on road. It won't work because the noise generated by the emissions of the engines is quite high.
Yes, there is a model for that. That happens at the PCB level. So you can simulate a PCB. Let's say you do an artwork. You do a schematic and then an artwork. The schematic itself, you can check that how much is the noise tolerance of that. That is the component itself and the track length. So that is the initial noise level checking you do. And then the next level is when you do the layout artwork, you not only check the conducted issues but also the radiated issues. So I think ANSYS makes tools for that, for profiling what is your PCB emission and what is the vulnerability of your design to external pickup, both thermal and EMI EMC. So those models are there. They are not a part of, say, MATLAB or UML. They are part of the hardware design. And even though the models, you should be able to get it working. Only your work is a bit more tough. Cars had electronics before all these models were there. Only your work is a bit more difficult. So getting it working is something else. It's nothing to do with the models. Your model is useless unless you, like he said earlier, unless you've understood the technology behind it, the physics and the mathematics behind it.
So in cars, the OS is also there. Which type of OS is used? Means which OS is used in car? What if in case it breaks down? Means that's quite
operating systems.
Yeah, operating system is also there in car.
Yes, they should conform to the OSEC standard.
Yes, they are real-time operating systems.
And there was specific benchmark on that called OSEC, OSEK.
And there may not be OS associated. They may be just a scheduler implemented in these unit. That is also there. And one more thing regarding if I go theoretical or academics, everybody has studied this white noise, color noise. Yes?
Yes.
So these are actually the modeling techniques. In a plain signal, you introduce these noises, white noise and this color noise, and see whether they are actually reflecting your application. So it's a matter of changing those tuning parameters. So you need to know what is the white noise, and you need to know what is the definition of color noise. And it's a matter of tuning those particular parameters so that it
actually matches to your vibrations. I'm mainly talking about mechanical vibrations or any other. For that matter, the subject is called the stochastic subject, so you can actually learn that stochastic subject. So those are the things where you learn more about it, how to introduce those in the model and get your results close to the real time.
Actually, something that I would like to share from my past. When I was in college, a lot of seniors of mine used to convince us that whatever we study in these colleges, it's never used practically. I'm sure many of you must have heard that from your seniors or from your friends, and I'm sure that perception or the myth that we all did carry at one point in time is probably changed today. I mean, that's one thing that I'm expecting from this session, because it's been clearly told by many of these speakers that whatever you study are the fundamentals, right? Never ever be under the impression that these things will never be used. Never be under the impression that the Fourier transforms or the Laplace transforms that you have ever did some calculations with will never ever be used in the rest of your life. Don't ever be under that impression, right? So that's one important message that I would like all to understand. But beyond that, before we move on to the next, I have a very important concern that I would like Professor C.B. Joshi to address. During my interaction with him, he had a lot of, he's, as I said, the one who is actively engaged between you and the industry. So he had a lot of appeal to be made to the industry. So I'm going to hand this microphone over to him. What are the expectations that you have from the industry? I mean, what do you think, and this being the right forum, also let them also understand what is it that you would like to do for them and you want the industry to do for them?
I think I have, in my first keynote speech, I have shown some slides. In that I have mentioned that, first of all, there should be interaction between institute and industry. That is number one. Second thing is they should, obviously in developed countries, it's other way around it happens, that institute gives the information designs to the industry. But unfortunately here, it is the other way around. So we expect that what is the real-time situation or scenario, and what are the technology required, which areas we should be, our students should be trained. So basically it will solve the interaction. Number one, like we should have conferences, workshop at yearly level. Like every year there should be a fixed conference on embedded system. Something like they have got conference on image processing, then you have got communications and multimedia. These are happening in the foreign developed countries, like particularly US based. So similar conferences should be arranged. And there we should involve both industry and faculty also, along with students also. Some share of students must be also there. So these are then the next step will be the developing laboratories at the what some students say, why can't have internship? So instead of this, if some specific level, like specific embedded, somebody VLSI, somebody image processing, communication, DSP, there are many number of power electronics, medical. So if particular college, particular lab is set up jointly, then I think that will give a help. And next will be the projects, which also nowadays happen that, but since the number of students are increased, it's a very tough job for industry that to entertain a group for doing particular projects. So projects is one such area by which we can increase the interaction, and some small activity like you can have project competition. I think Jansi have got idea that why not have a project competition all over India level on embedded products. So similar such project competition if it is arranged, and there will be a lot of information sharing, technologies, what is happening, people will get, and the students will encourage to the products or the projects in the embedded. They obviously will come to that, like medical electronics, what is the operating system used in automation or automotive field, which operating system. Now we have got only two operating systems, like MuCOS and Linux. So that's a question that which OS is used in your automotive. Like this, we should be aware. Even though they are not in syllabus, this is something extra. That knowledge is required so that in future, they can think of making their career in this spectrum. So basically interaction and laboratories set up, and third one is the project competition and conference. I think this will give a lot of improvement lot of benefits to the student community, and otherwise also we even industry people talk, or at the university level, IIT, at the VC level they talk, there should be an interaction between institute and industry, but where it happens? That doesn't happen much, very serious. I think OISIS has taken lead, and something what we see here, at least we have got 4 industry experts, and we have got a lot of information on different domains. So if this has to be increased, I think this will slowly improve the situation.
Okay, so to wrap it up, I would like to ask one single question to each one of these panel members. Somewhere I heard this. There was a discussion between a doctor and an engineer, and doctor asked, the engineer did ask the question to the doctor, why is it that you guys get paid more? Because whatever you do, we also do it, right? It's just that you do it on human beings and we do it on machines. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? So you also operate on the body, we also do operate on the body. Whatever you do some repairs, maintenance, and XYZ activities, we do the same thing. I mean, it's just that you're talking about a human body and we are talking about a machine, right? So, but why is it that you guys get paid more? So the doctor said, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's just one little difference here. We just operate on this machine when it's running. That's the only difference, right? So to tell you more, we all have some expectations from the industry. It could be, one concern. I'm sure it's there with most of you. Though you all are shying away from asking this one question. So, what is the salary that I can expect if I become an embedded engineer, right? I'm not going to ask that question to them anyways. You can take it offline and ask it. But yes, one thing that I would like to check with most of these panel members is, what is that one message that you would like to pass on to this particular audience, so that probably the most important message from your side, you can probably repeat whatever you have said in the past, but the most important one that you want these people to carry home and remember for the rest of their life. Mahesh, I would like to start from you.
Tough question. So, what I would like to say, on this, the one message I would clearly say, the initial years of career, you should focus on the work. That's the very important thing. A lot of things, like you see, other side is always a green pasture. That is always they say, right? So there are both pros and cons of each side. So what I would say, whatever you have learned, okay, if you are getting that work as a part of your job, okay, you are lucky. There is a job satisfaction. Even if you don't get it, okay, so you may get a diverted opportunity somewhere else. So it is not that you should what I can say, you should lose your sight on what you can do. There is always, like somebody says, entrepreneurs. There is always. So job is something you earn some money and keep it. But then if there is a vision, you know how to invest whatever I earn. Probably you are going to erect your own company and you are going to become your own entrepreneur. That is what you are doing. See, most of the established businessmen, whatever they are saying, they don't have great academics. Okay, probably. If you there are many such people. But what drives them is the passion to work. Passion to do the work that whatever been assigned. So that is the attitude to look at. The most important is the attitude to work, and to work for such a thing that you should know each and every detail of the things. So that is the message I want to give to the entire audience. Thank you.
Okay, I can't advise so easily about that, but I would like to say from my own personal experience, and in a way answer your question about internship. Why do you want the academic world to give you that title of internship and then you go and do it? You can still go and do it in the industry, like us suggesting outside. You come to my place for a project. Why should I give you a project? I don't know you from Adam or Eve. So why should I give you a project? Why should I spend money, time and energy for you? So instead you come up with an idea. Let's say you have an idea in mind. It may be a repeat idea. It need not be something new, modern or greatest invention. But you come up with 30% done. I'll say, okay, fine. I'll take risk. I'll sponsor it for the remaining part. But you come up there, oh, give me something to do. I'm not interested. I'm too busy earning my money. Why should I help you? And that's how I did. I'm BSc Physics. I'm not an engineer. But luckily, I had a classmate whose father had a small industry of his own. So what did we do? Every Sunday, some of us, finally there were only 2 of us left, he and I. Most of the others dropped out. We used to go to this factory and do something. Just something. So we learned what the hell drilling is about. How to get the drilling correct. What is electromechanical relay. All these things we learned there. His father didn't sit and teach us. Of course, he answered questions when we asked. But there were no formal classes. I was free to do something as long as we did not burn down a factory or burn down the drill machine. So internship is there, nobody is stopping you. But internship cannot be spoon feeding. You come to me, I'm not going to say, okay, bacche log baitho, ab main 2 ghanta sikhaunga. Absolutely no time. I don't have 2 hours for my wife. Why should I have for you? So, there's no way I'm going to do that kind of internship for you, provide that thing. You're free to come. In summer you can do it. In fact, that's what the great American tradition is. The kids go and earn their own money right in school days. Whether it is delivering newspaper, cutting a neighbor's lawn, or going and working in the supermarket. It gets you moving on your own. Really, how much are you going to learn from working in the supermarket? Nothing much, except that you will have money of your own. You learn to earn that money at a younger age, you tend to value it better. We expect till we have got a degree in hand, I'm not going to do anything. So internship is already there, please don't blame the academics. It's there, do it. Who's stopping you from turning up at companies and learning? Nobody. Yes, they are not going to sit and teach you, but you can learn. You can learn a hell of a lot by being, even in medical, I don't think there's a formal internship where the senior doctor sits and teaches you. You go with the senior doctor during the visits, you listen to the doctor's diagnosis, and some learn, some don't. I know there's a story going around that you're not really a good doctor till you've killed 3 patients. I'm not sure if I can answer that, but definitely in engineering field you have to damage a few things, break a few things before you learn. And I will take that risk provided I see some positive coming out of that. May not be money for me, but something good for you. So initially I'll say, hey, don't touch that oscilloscope, but yeah, go ahead. Use a multimeter. At the most what you'll put it in ohms range and measure the resistance of MSCB. Fine. So it will get damaged, but I can afford that kind of loss. People have done it at my place, so experienced people. So my message is, a lot of things are already there. You have to move out. Nobody is going to come to you. And that's why you think that gap is there, because when you come finally for a job, I'm going to think, oh my God, do I have to train this person? It's easier for me to do it myself. So it is there, please do it.
You always say we will learn and you pay us for learning and then we will be benefit to you. Rather than if a fresh engineer just go to the interview along with certain applications in his mind related to the website of that company. And if few ideas are there, even though not feasible idea, but the person having passion, if you can show some passion as well, some value proportion which can help him understand and generate his interest in you, that can make a real difference. I think that's the only thing I wanted to say. If value proposition makes a lot of difference, and on top of it, I do not know, our kind of people were always think of others. This generation, I'm not saying you are not, but the knowing the degree of doing things for others. That idea will come where I don't know how many people believe in God here, but I can tell you there is no secret formula or there is no academic calculation how idea come in our mind. That $1 million idea can come in anybody's mind, but how idea or how to generate that idea, there is no absolute formula. It is sent by God, and with the intention, if you have that intention to help others with that idea, if you can able to help others in coming out with the solution which can help him in his pain area. If company is going with some problems and if you have a certain idea which can help in their pain, giving relief in their pain, means idea, when your wish is there to help others, that idea will come and that value proposition will come, and when you talk about that value proposition, your acceptability will be highly taken. Thank you.
Yeah, from my perspective, I will say that do what you really like and do it passionately. And you should really have a strong desire to do something, so you will not see any obstacles that you may be seeing right now, like how will I learn this, there is no this facility or that facility. If you have a strong desire to do something, you will find a way, and that's the message that I would like to give you. Thanks.
Almost I agree with Abhay what he has said, that whatever you like, you choose, you select. Then if you cannot do it, even though you have a desire to work, hardship, sincerity, you put that efforts, so you will definitely learn. And then don't think of money. That's a very interesting or important point, because nowadays IT companies offer package of 3 lakhs or something. So you always compare with the computer guy. And if you want to go in the computer, then you are with that all C++ and .NET, Java and all. Then you forget all 39 subjects, what I have said. So if you want to sacrifice for all this what you have learned, then you can think of 3 lakhs packages. But probably you will find it embedded hardcore, you will not get good salaries. You will get somewhere around 1 lakh or so, 8,000 or 10,000 per month. So don't think of money for first 1 or 2 years. Okay, that's my message. And be in this core industry. Afterwards, say 2 or 3 years, you will surpass that IT field also. It's possible. So please don't think of the package initially. And like what Kalpak sir has said, that you try to learn in industry at less salary, because even if they pay less, assume that first 1 year is a training period, probation period, and go on doing experiment. Like when I joined a company like Apple in Mumbai, and when I have passed out of CVP, but still we have got a similar situation. We are not able to do practically anything. So what we used to happen, 8 to 5 hours of timing. So we used to wait after 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock daily, 2 hours, and doing whatever we like. Like we were not how to say digital IC, how to work with open regulators. And of course the company was limited, so there was no problem with damaging components. Nobody even knows that somebody has damaged that component. So we used to play around at 2 hours, and this way we learn. Within 6 months to 1 year, we become really comfortable and professional. And yes, I know all op-amps, I know all circuits. So that was the situation. Like Kalpak sir has said, I agree 100%. So this mentality, if you are there, even with permission also, the components should get damaged, because then you don't learn other. Because if things work all right, what you will learn? Say you get output. But if you don't, then why you are not getting, or why whether you are connected wrong things, wrong supply, reverse supply, the op-amp may get damaged. So that is what I mean to say, that let component get damaged, and let attitude of learning is very important. Remember, in colleges I am directly connected with you students, not you directly with some other. You don't have attitude to learn, please, because you don't want to wait after 5 o'clock. You are less. Before 5 o'clock you run away from the college. This is a minus point, and this attitude you have to change. Once you enter industry, you should have this capacity to work for 12 hours, at least 12 hours initially, because you are young, dynamic, bachelor. Is it not? Once you get married and all this, you have got lot of research. So first 3 years at least, please spend time like anything. Don't count the time and money. And then definitely you will find that you are really good to. So this is a good message I would like. Thank you.
So with this, I would like to thank all the panel members for sharing the the wonderful piece of information that they all had for all of us. I'm sure it's for this purpose that you all were here and that all of us were here. And with that, I would like to hand this session over to my colleague, Mr. Rahul. Please take it forward. Thanks to you all.
Finally, I would like to really offer my vote of thanks to all of you who have participated in this event. I'm sure you must have been part of sitting. So thank you all for coming. I would like to thank definitely the panel members, all of them who have taken their time off from their busy schedule and are available to share their thought process, their experiences with us, and then to guide all of you how to move forward. I'm sure the time, whatever is available, maybe there are certain open issues and open questions in your mind. For that, I would suggest if you can be connected with us with the different forums. So we have one forum on Facebook. So facebook.com/OSSeducation. If you can just try and be connected. What we plan to do is we want to create Embedopedia as a forum, online forum wherein all the ideas and the information can be exchanged related to embedded system. I would like to thank the staff member of OSS who have been here and have arranged and taken care of whatever arrangements that are there. Definitely the Maratha Chambers of Commerce who have given us such a good facility to conduct such an event. The caterers and all those people who indirectly are related to making this event which has reached to this particular stage. I hope that it has sparked, it has enabled some spark in you, and you can carry forward home certain thought process which you can think for over and then see to it that you actually go and implement something. So please be connected with us and let's see how we can interact with you in future also. Thank you all for coming. I would call this session as end, and I would request you to please, there is this participatory certification. If you can just have a queue, they have arranged this certification with your iCard number. Please collect that certification. It says that it's just a matter of satisfaction that you have traveled so far and have been patiently watching and listening to all of us. So just an appreciation from our side. So please collect the certificate and maybe you can then join us for the day. Thank you so much. Thank you.